The first part of Live's interface we'll want to become familiar with is called the browser. The browser is where you'll find the entire Live library and any of your musical assets. These can be core sounds and instruments that come with Live, add-ons like Ableton packs and presets that you might have downloaded from the internet, effects and other Ableton devices, and also third-party instruments and plugins. On top of that, it's also going to include any of your personal samples. The browser is found on the left side of Live's window and is split into two sections. The left side, which is called the sidebar, and the right side, which is called the content pane. You can always resize the sections by dragging on the divider horizontally. This is a good time to mention that most of Live's interface is malleable in this way, to make working with the software as intuitive as possible for whatever the given task is. You can really optimize the screen real estate whether you're writing, mixing, or arranging music. With that in mind, why don't we take a little bit closer look at the browser and see how it's organized. Looking at the browser sidebar, we can see that it's organized into a number of different groups, which makes finding instruments, sounds, and devices super easy. Under the category section is where you'll access all of your sounds and devices as they're laid out in different categories. First, we'll see sounds, which contains all of your instrument racks and instrument presets organized by the type of sounds they make rather than by their devices. In drums, you'll find all of your drum presets. This includes full drum kits, which are available as drum racks, which we'll talk a lot more about later, as well as single drum hits, which are delivered as instrument racks. In instruments, you'll find all of your instrument racks, as well as Live's raw instruments and their presets. Here, they're organized by device rather than by the type of sound that they make. In audio effects is where you'll find all of your audio effects racks, as well as Live's audio effect devices, including their presets. In MIDI effects, you'll find all of your MIDI effect racks, as well as raw Live MIDI effect devices and presets. In Max for Live, you'll find all of your Max for Live devices and presets, as well as any racks that are built with those devices, organized into audio effect, instrument, and MIDI effect folders. In plugins, you'll find all of your third-party VST or audio unit plugins, depending on your platform. Clips contains all of your live clips, and samples contains all of your raw audio samples. Finally, the All Results section will appear after you've typed something into the search field. It shows the search results for every section of the browser in one single combined list. The Places section of the browser is how you'll access samples and folders that are stored somewhere on your computer. As such, you'll use this section when you want to access a particular directory, find a sample, or access another add-on pack that you might have downloaded. The actual contents of the Places section will vary depending on how you've configured the library, but it'll always contain at least the following. First, it'll contain packs, which contain all of the packs that come pre-installed with Live, as well as any that you've installed yourself. Each pack appears as a folder in the content pane, which can be unfolded to reveal the pack's contents. Presets, samples, and live clips installed by the packs will also appear in the appropriate categories label. User library is the default location for items that you save yourself, including default presets, grooves, personalized racks and device presets, and your own samples. In addition to that, it'll also include live clips and other files that you save to your user library will all be available in the appropriate category labels. Current project contains all of the files that are contained within the currently active project. So if you're working on a live set that you haven't saved, your current project will refer to some temporary location. As soon as you save your project though, current project will always refer to that directory. User folders. Okay, this one is really important. I recommend that you keep your samples organized into a directory as well. For me, I have a folder called Samples, which is in my Documents folder. And as you can see, I've already drag and dropped it here for easy access whenever I'm working on a track and I want to grab one of those samples. The next thing that I want to talk about is how you can use Live search functionality to more quickly find the sounds or instruments that you want to use in your track. So, for example, why don't we click over to our drum category, and we can see that we have a whole bunch of different instruments and sounds here. But if we knew that we wanted to find only our 808 drum kits, then we can go to the search bar up here and type in 808, and it will filter anything in this drum category to only the items that actually have 808 in the title here. Now, this is true of our drum category, but it's actually true of all of the different sections over here. For example, if we click over to instruments, First thing is, this is actually something that you definitely want to watch out for. You'll notice that instruments is only showing one thing with simpler in here, and that's because we didn't clear our search from the search bar here. So this gets me all the time, and it's something you want to watch out for. Just make sure that you clear the search, so that way we're now viewing all of our instruments that are in this in the instrument category here. The really cool thing about this is, let's say we want to find only our subby sounds. I'm going to type in sub here, and now it's actually filtering all of our different instruments, whether that's analog, operator, simpler, or sampler, to the presets that have the word sub in their name. So if we go to analog here, we can see that it filtered out all of our bass sounds, all of our bass presets in this instrument that have sub in the name, but also other types of sounds, like here's some sound effects called submarine. So it's a really quick way to move around here. This is also true when you're browsing your samples. So if we click over to samples here and type in a new search, we can see Ableton has all these samples here. So why don't we search for piano here? And now we can see it filtered all of those samples to only the samples that have piano in the name. The next thing is, how do you find the actual sample or instrument that you want to use? Well, to do that, you're going to want to preview the sound, and Live will do this for you automatically as soon as you click on it. So as I'm just scrolling up and down, it's going to play those for us automatically. Now, this is true when the session is stopped. However, when the session is playing, it will try and quantize the preview to to your global quantization setting, which in this case is set to 1 bar. So why don't we actually hear this and see what I'm talking about? Let's get the metronome going. So now I'm just going to move through my samples here, and you can hear it's waiting until the next bar to play the next sample. So I can't just freely move through these and hear all of them. Now, to do that, Live actually has a button here that will enable you to bypass your quantization setting and still freely move and preview all your samples. And that's this little button over here that says raw. So if you click that, and we try this again, now you can see, even though we have our global quantization set to a bar, we can freely move through your samples. Now, depending on the scenario, you may want this turned on or off. It's normally useful for me to have raw turned on when I'm searching for a single sample. But if I'm trying to find a different, like drum kit, for example, I might have this off, so as my track is actually playing, it will launch the little drum preview with the actual track. So just to hear what I'm talking about, if I go to drums, for example, and we clear our previous search, let's get our metronome playing. So let's turn raw off. So it will play this kit with some sample loop so that you can hear what it sounds like. So when you're moving through entire kits, it's actually really nice to have that change happen on the downbeat so that you can kind of get into the groove and then hear it on that next downbeat. Let's just do that one more time. You can imagine if you had an entire song playing and you're trying to find a new kit, and that entire song's playing, and you're just moving through these. It's kind of hard to follow the beat and remember where you are. So you will definitely turn this raw on or off depending on if you want it to switch on the downbeat or if you want to preview that sound as soon as you click it.